I died, choking on my own blood. The cold tile of my high school bathroom floor pressing into my cheek like a lover's final betrayal. While the echo of my best friend's laughter, my sister Harper's laughter, rang in my ears from the hallway where she'd just sold me out to the cops. Waking up gasping in my 16-year-old body, the same acne-scarred face staring back from the mirror, I realized the universe had handed me a do-over. One last shot to claw back from the grave before they buried me alive in lies and prison bars. But the first words out of my mouth weren't a scream or a curse. They were a whisper to the empty room. This time, I'll make them bleed without lifting a finger. It was the fall of 2018, and Evergreen Heights, Ohio, was the kind of Rust Belt suburb where everyone knew your business before you did. Chain-link fences sagged around split-level houses, and the air always smelled like wet leaves and regret. I'd just turned 16, a junior at Evergreen High, the girl who volunteered at the animal shelter on weekends because saving strays felt like the only control I had in a house ruled by my parents' iron-fisted expectations. Adeline Harper, no. Wait. That was the mistake I'd made last time, letting her shadow eclipse me. I was Adeline Mills, the forgotten middle child, sandwiched between Harper, the Golden Girl cheer captain, and my little brother Theo, the football prodigy they all bet the farm on. The day it all restarted, I was slumped in homeroom, the fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets, when the bell rang and Harper sauntered in, her ponytail swinging like a pendulum of doom. Last life. This was the morning she'd accidentally spill the beans about the cash missing from Mom's purse, cash I'd supposedly stolen to buy weed. When really, it was her who'd been skimming for her secret boyfriend's bail money. The setup was flawless. My fingerprints on the drawer from helping with chores. My rebellious phase as the perfect scapegoat. By lunch, the whispers had turned to shouts. And by dinner, Dad was dragging me to the station, his face twisted in that disappointed snarl that said, "You're the weak link, Addie. Always have been. But not this time." I felt the ghost of handcuffs biting into my wrists, the sting of the interrogation room's stale coffee, the way the detective's eyes softened with pity as Harper wept crocodile tears on the stand. She'd framed me for theft. But the real crime? It unraveled later, in the county lockup where I rotted for months before the suicide watch cell became my tomb. Turns out, the money trail led back to her boyfriend, Jax, a low-level dealer who'd gotten her hooked on pills first, then pregnant, something she hid by pinning it all on me. The family secret? Mom and Dad knew. They'd covered for her since she was 14, shipping her to summer camp for abortions, whispering about protecting the family's name while I drowned in their neglect. My death, just collateral in their perfect lie. I slammed my locker shut harder than intended, the metallic clang echoing down the hall like a gunshot. Harper paused mid-flirt with her squad, her blue eyes, mirror images of mine, narrowing. "You okay? Sis, you look like you saw a ghost." I forced a smile, the kind that didn't reach my eyes, tasting bile from the memory of her testifying against me. Peachy. Just thinking about how some people get away with everything. Her laugh tinkled like breaking glass. But I saw the flicker, uncertainty. Good. Let the seeds of doubt take root. That afternoon, I skipped soccer practice. Last time, I'd gone, desperate to prove I was the good one, and biked straight to the public library instead. The place was a relic, all dusty stacks and flickering computers, but it had free Wi-Fi and zero family spies. Logging into an anonymous account, I started digging. Jax Harlan, 22, with a rap sheet longer than my arm, possession, assault, the works. His socials were a goldmine, photos of him and Harper at motels, timestamps matching the thefts. But I needed more. Proof of the pills, the pregnancy scares. Something to shatter their facade without dragging me down first. By dusk, my notebook was crammed with notes, license plates, burner phone numbers, even a tip from an old forum about Jax's dealer connections. I pedaled home under sodium streetlights, the chill wind whipping my hoodie like a warning. Dinner was the usual tableau. Dad at the head, scrolling stock tickers on his phone, Mom plating meatloaf with that forced cheer, Theo yapping about his touchdown stats, Harper scrolling Insta, stealing glances at me like I was a bomb about to tick. So, Addie, Dad grunted, not looking up. How was school? Staying out of trouble? Last life? I bubbled with some lame excuse about studying. This time, I met his eyes, those cold account blues, and said, actually, I learned something fascinating today. About how easy it is to trace dirty money. The table froze. Mom's fork clattered. Harper choked on her milk. What the hell does that mean? Dad barked, his vein throbbing like it always did before a lecture. I shrugged, spearing a green bean. Just a econ project. But get this, people think they're slick. Laundering cash through fake alibis, but digital footprints? Unforgiving. Theo snorted, thinking it was a joke. But Harper's knuckles whitened around her glass. Point 1. Adeline Mills. Sleep came fitful that night, dreams splicing my old death with this second chance. I woke sweating, the alarm blaring 6:15 a.m., and slipped out before dawn cracked. The plan was simple: infiltrate Jax's world without getting burned. I'd pose as a runaway looking for party invites, stupid enough to fly under radar, smart enough to record everything. But first, I needed wheels. Theo's beat-up truck? Nah. Too traceable. The bus to Columbus. Then hitch a ride to the dives on the east side. The city was a different beast. Graffiti-tagged warehouses, bass thumping from lowriders, the acrid tang of weed smoke curling from alley doorways. I hit Jax's haunt, the Rusty Nail, a dive bar masquerading as a tattoo parlor, by noon. Heart hammering, I pushed through the beaded curtain, bell tinkling like a death knell. The place reeked of stale beer and regret, pool cues cracking in the back, a jukebox crooning some forgotten Springsteen track. Jax was there, sprawled at the bar like he owned it, his leather vest patched with biker insignias, a smirk playing under his scruffy beard. Flanking him, two goons, tats snaking up their necks. And, bingo, Harper's burner phone buzzing on the scarred wood. Looking for work. Sweetheart, he drawled, eyes raking me over like I was merchandise. Looking for fun, I shot back, sliding onto a stool, channeling every bad girl trope I'd binge-watched on Netflix. Heard you know where the real party's at. He laughed, low and dirty, sliding me a shot of something that burned like firewater. Depends. What's a high school princess got to offer? I leaned in, phone hidden in my sleeve recording audio. Secrets. Like how my sister's been dipping into the family till for your habits. His eyes sharpened, hook, line, sinker. We talked for an hour, me feeding him half-truths, him spilling just enough. The pill runs from Detroit, the drop spots, how that cheerleader bitch was getting clingy post-miscarriage. Miscarriage. The word hit like a gut punch. Last life. I'd never known. They'd spun it as stress when she quit cheer for a semester. But here it was, raw and rotting. I excused myself to the bathroom, a rank stall with a broken lock, and texted an anonymous tip to the tip line, Jax Harlan, dealing opioids to minors, evidence incoming. By evening, I was back in Evergreen, buzzed on adrenaline, crashing on my bed as sirens wailed in the distance. Phase 1. Rattle the cage. But as I stared at the ceiling cracks mapping out like veins, doubt crept in. What if exposing them exposed me? What if this revenge tasted like ash? The next week blurred into a fever dream of surveillance and sabotage. I hacked Harper's Insta, child's play with her predictable password, Jax4Eva69, and started seeding anonymous DMs to her squad. Ask her about the baby she lost. Or the cash she stole. Whispers turned to stares in the cafeteria. Her throne wobbled. Mom noticed first, cornering me in the laundry room with that saccharine voice. Adeline, honey, is everything okay with your sister?
She's been off.
I folded a towel with deliberate slowness, meeting her gaze in the mirror.
Off.
Like how you covered for her last summer. The camp that wasn't camp. Her face blanched, busted. The family secret, the one they'd buried under layers of denial, cracked open like an egg. She'd thought I was clueless, the dutiful daughter folding socks while they plotted. That night, the blowback hit. Dad hauled me into his study, the door slamming like Judgment Day. What the fuck are you playing at? Addie? Stirring shit with your sister? You think you're clever? I stood tall, the ghost of my cell block scars itching. Clever?
No.
Just done being the fall guy. Remember that time you loaned her money for college apps? Funny how it vanished. His slap came fast. A crack across my cheek that bloomed hot and red. Last life, I'd cowered. This time, I laughed sharp, unhinged. Hit me again.
Dad.
It'll look great in the bruises photo album for the judge. He froze, fist raised, the cowardice in his eyes mirroring the man who'd signed my guilty plea without a second thought. Get out, he hissed. You're no daughter of mine. The words stung, but they were fuel. I grabbed my backpack and bolted into the rain-slick night, thunder rumbling like applause. Where to now? Motels cost cash I didn't have, and shelters were a last resort. I trudged to the edge of town, past the VFW hall glowing like a beacon, where old vets swapped war stories over cheap beer. Pushing through the door, the warmth hit me, cigarette haze, country twang on the jukebox, the low murmur of men who'd seen real hell. That's when I saw him, Sergeant Elias Kane, though I wouldn't learn his name till later. Mid-30s. Buzz cut fading at the temples. A prosthetic leg propped against the bar stool like it was just another accessory. His face was all hard lines and quiet storms. A purple heart pin glinting on his faded army jacket. He was nursing a root beer, sober as a judge, watching the door like he expected ghosts. You look like you could use a dry seat, he said, voice gravel rough from desert sands, nodding to the stool beside him. I hesitated, trust no one. The mantra of my second life, but the rain dripped from my hood, and something in his eyes said he'd been the runaway once.
Yeah.
And maybe a story that doesn't end in handcuffs. He chuckled, dry as dust. Plenty of those here. Name's Elias. What's yours?
Kid.
Adeline. The word felt like shedding skin. We talked till closing, me skirting the edges of my mess, him dropping fragments of his 2 tours in Afghanistan, an IED that took his leg and his squad, the VA that chewed him up and spit him out in this nowhere town. No pity, just facts. When the bartender called last call, Elias stood, wobbling on his crutch. Got a cot in the back if you need it. No strings. Vets look out for vets' kids. Your old man's a regular. I hear. Mills family lore, Dad. The armchair patriot. Donating to the hall, but never serving. I nodded. Gratitude thick in my throat. Thanks. Really? As I crashed on the lumpy cot, the rain pattering like Morse code, I realized revenge was a solo sport, but maybe survival wasn't. Elias snored from the next room, a steady rhythm like a heartbeat I could borrow. For the first time since waking up dead, I slept without knives under my pillow. Mornings at the VFW smelled like burnt coffee and boot polish. A far cry from Mom's lavender-scented kitchen where lies simmered sweeter. Elias was up before dawn, methodically lacing his prosthetic, his routine a quiet armor against the world's chaos. Breakfast's on me, he grunted, tossing me a granola bar from his pack. Then we figure out your next move. Running blind gets you killed, trust me. I chewed, the nutty crunch grounding me. Last life. I'd run too, straight into dead ends. This time, with Elias's steady gaze, the plan sharpened, expose the Harlans, topple the family pedestal, but build an exit ramp first. I need a job, I said. Something off books. And wheels. He eyed me, not prying, just assessing. Library's hiring pages. Pays shit, but it's clean. As for wheels, he jingled keys to a rusted Ford pickup out back. Borrow mine. Just don't dent it. Only thing I got left from the old man. Gratitude hit again. Warmer this time. Elias wasn't family, but he was the first person who'd seen me without the Mills filter. By noon, I was shelving dog-eared thrillers, the musty pages whispering secrets of my own. Between stacks, I texted burner tips to the cops, Jax's drop spot coordinates, timestamps of his meets with suppliers. The news app buzzed that afternoon, bust at the Rusty Nail. Opioids seized. One suspect in custody. Jax's mugshot stared back, hollow-eyed and snarling. Harper's world was crumbling, brick by digital brick. School was a minefield. Whispers followed me like smoke. Adeline's the snitch. Jax is her ex or some shit. Harper cornered me by the bleachers after chem. Her makeup streaked from crying. The cheer uniform hanging loose like shed skin. What did you do? He texted me, said you're the one who ratted him out. I crossed my arms, rain from last night's storm still puddling underfoot. Me?
Nah.
Karma's a bitch.
Though.
Especially when you frame your sister for your fuck-ups. Her slap landed soft. More plea than punch. But the sting reignited old fires. You don't get it, she hissed, voice cracking. Mom and Dad, they were gonna send me away again. The baby. It was his. I couldn't. Couldn't what? Let the truth out. I stepped closer, our breaths mingling in the chill. You let me take the fall. Theft. Pills. The whole circus. While you played victim. The secret spilled from her like poison, the second pregnancy. Hidden under baggy sweats. The plan to pin another theft on me for an abortion fund. Deeper still, Dad's investments with Jax's crew. Laundering construction kickbacks through the bar. The family wasn't just dysfunctional, they were a syndicate. Me the expendable pawn. Harper's eyes widened, terror dawning. If you tell. I already did. Bluff. But her gasp sold it. She fled, ponytail unraveling, leaving me with the echo of her sobs. Victory tasted metallic, like blood on my tongue. But as I biked to the VFW, Elias's truck idling like a faithful dog, guilt gnawed. Was this justice or just trading one grave for another? Elias was waiting, crutch-propped, a six-pack of root beer sweating on the porch. Rough day. He popped one, handing it over. I sank beside him, the wood creaking under us. You ever wish you could go back? Fix the one fuck-up that snowballed everything. His laugh was bitter, eyes distant on the horizon where factories belched smoke. Every damn day. That IED? I called the patrol off route. Thought it was clear. Lost 4 brothers. VA calls it PTSD, I call it debt. He tapped his prosthetic. The hollow thunk of punctuation. But going back?
Nah.
You just dragged the shrapnel with you. His words landed heavy. My shrapnel was the family's rot, but digging it out meant carving deeper. That night, over greasy burgers from the diner, I spilled it all, the frame job, the secrets, the revenge blueprint. Elias listened. No judgment, just nods. Sounds like a powder keg. You light it. Make sure you're clear of the blast. He didn't push. But by week's end, he'd looped in his buddy, Marco, a wiry ex-Marine with hacker chops from his cyber unit days. We met in the VFW basement, fluorescent hum underscoring Marco's laptop glow. All right, Addy, Marco grinned, fingers flying. Family finances? Dad's got shell accounts tied to Harlan's crew. Mom's charity donations? Fronts for pill payoffs. And sis? Her phone pings to abortion clinics in 3 states. The screen blurred with evidence, bank transfers, encrypted chats. Even Dad's emails to a crooked councilman greasing permits for Jax's legit tattoo gig. It was a house of cards, laced with felonies. This goes public, Marco warned. Feds get involved. Rico shit. My stomach twisted. Controversial? Hell. This was scorched earth. Expose them. And Evergreen's elite, our neighbors, Dad's golf buddies, would burn me in effigy. But let it slide, I'd be the ghost again, haunting my own half-life. Elias clapped my shoulder. Grip firm. Your call,
Kid.
But remember, revenge ain't a straight line. Sometimes it loops back and bites your ass. The decision came at midnight. Rain lashing the VFW windows like accusations. I hit send on the anonymous packet to the Columbus Dispatch. Docs. Screenshots. A timeline tying the mills to the Harlan drug ring. No bylines. Just facts sharp as shrapnel. By morning, the story broke. Suburban scandal, prominent family linked to opioid bust, and Evergreen ignited. Dad's office phone rang off the hook. Mom's PDA group goes to her mid-text. Harper showed at school feral, shoving me into the girls' locker room. The door banging shut like a cage. You ruined us. Dad's arrested embezzlement. They're saying conspiracy. I backed against the cold metal, heart thundering. You ruined me first. Remember the bathroom floor? Your lies choking me out. She lunged, nails raking my arm, drawing red lines that burned. I hated you, always the perfect one, the volunteer saint, while you what? Got away with murder. The fight spilled out fists, hair, grunts echoing off tiles. Last life. I'd never fought back. I'd folded. This time, I pinned her, knee to her chest, whispering, "Tell the truth, Harper. Or I will." Sirens wailed outside. Cops for her now. Not me. She buckled, sobbing confessions into my shoulder. The frames. The abortions. Dad's rages that pushed her to Jack's. Sisters in the wreckage. But no absolution. As they hauled her away in cuffs, her eyes met mine, not hate, but hollow recognition. The betrayer betrayed. But the fallout? A tornado. Reporters camped our lawn, flashing bulbs like gunfire.
Theo.
The golden boy punched a journalist and got suspended. Mom overdosed on her anxiety meds, pills from the same pipeline. Ironies stacking like indictments. Dad lawyered up, posting bail with laundered cash that only dug deeper.
Me?
The whistleblower, outed by a sloppy IP trace. Threats rolled in, voicemails from Jax's crew. Snitches get stitches.
Bitch.
School suspended me pending investigation. I holed up at the VFW. Elias's caught my bunker. He brought meals, sat vigil as I shook off nightmares of bloodied tiles. "You're tougher than they know," he said one night, passing a thermos of soup. "But this war, it's wearing you thin." He was right. Revenge had hollowed me, friends scattered, future torched. College apps? Laughable now. But Elias didn't flinch. Ever think about enlisting? Structure.
Purpose. Plus.
Uncle Sam pays for prosthetics upgrades. I laughed. The sound foreign. Me? In boots? I'd trip over my own grudges. Wouldn't be the first. His eyes crinkled. The first real smile I'd seen. In that moment, the soldier's friendship cracked my armor, not with pity, but possibility. Maybe payback wasn't the endgame. Maybe it was the intermission. The trial loomed like a guillotine, set for spring. Subpoenas piled, me as key witness. The girl who danced with devils and lived. But, twist of twists, Jax flipped. Plea deal for immunity. Spilling everything. Not just the drugs, but Dad's ties to City Hall. Bribes for zoning that poisoned the river with runoff. Evergreen's underbelly exposed. The town fracturing along fault lines of complicity. Harper's arraignment was a circus. Her in orange, pleading not guilty. Mom catatonic in the gallery. I testified clean, voice steady under fluorescent glare, laying out the frames, the secrets, the suffocation. The DA nodded. Jury scribbled, guilty on all counts. Her sentence a decade in women's lockup. No tears from me, just the weight lifting, featherlight. Dad's turn was uglier. RICO charges. 20 years minimum. He glared from the dock, mouthing traitor as the gavel fell. Mom got probation. Rehab mandatory. Her grief, over-enabling it all a flimsy shield. Theo? Shipped to boarding school. Football dreams deferred.
Me?
The pariah philanthropist. Animal shelter doubled donations. Strangers slipping notes. Thank you for the truth. But the hate mail? Death threats scrawled in crayon by kids whose dads went down too. I armored up. Elias teaching me self-defense in the VFW lot. Crutch swings. Prosthetic takedowns. Laughs amid bruises. One dusk, as fireflies blinked like fallen stars, he handed me a bus ticket to basic at Fort Benning. Your call. But life's too short for Rust Belt ghosts. I pocketed it. The paper crisp as resolve. Revenge had gutted my family, but in the ruins, I'd forged something unbreakable. Not blood, but bond. Fort Benning hit like a freight train, Georgia humidity thick as guilt. Drill sergeants barking orders that stripped you to bone and rebuilt you steel. I shipped out in June. Elias seeing me off at the Greyhound. His hug brief but ironclad. Right if you don't hate the sand, he quipped. crutch tapping pavement. And remember, soldiers don't run from fire, we walk through it. Basic was Hell's Boot Camp. Push-ups till my arms screamed. Ruck marches that echoed my old bike rides, but with M4S slung heavy. Nights in the barracks. Sweat-slick bunks creaking. I'd replay the trial tapes in my head, Harper's breakdown on the stand, admitting the frame job in a voice raw as barbed wire. "I thought it'd make you stronger," she'd sobbed. "Toughen you like Dad toughened me." Twisted logic. But it humanized the monster. Forgiveness?
Not.
Understanding? Maybe. It dulled the blade of hate. Just enough to breathe. Letters from Elias kept me sane, scrawled updates on Evergreen's purge, councilman indicted, river cleanup funded by seized assets. The VFW threw a Addy appreciation night. Root beers all around. Town's cleaner without the rot. He wrote. Miss your smart mouth.
Though.
I wrote back. Ink smudged with red dust. Miss the quiet. But this, it's mine. Graduation came in August. Me and Chris fatigues. Platoon cheering as I crossed the stage. Specialist Adeline Mills. Dog tags cool against my skin. No family in the stands. Theo sent a postcard. Mama check I shredded, but Elias drove down. Prosthetic polished. A bouquet of wildflowers wilting in the heat. Proud as hell. Kid. His voice cracked. Just once. And I hugged him fierce. The world blurring. Yodi my assignment. Intel analyst at Bragg. Sifting data like I'd sifted family lies. Days blurred into code cracking. Nights into stolen calls with Elias. He was dating a nurse from the VA. Slow and steady, no IEDs this time.
He joked. Me?
A squad of misfits became kin. Ramirez. The sharpshooter with tattooed prayers. Lee. The medic who patched hearts as quick as wounds. They knew my scars, not the visible ones, but the kind that wake you gasping, and traded stories over MREs. No judgment. But ghosts don't die easy. Fall brought a care package from Ohio. News clippings. Harper's appeal denied. Dad's suicide watch. A letter in her chicken scratch. I see you on the news. Hero sis. Wish I could trade places. I burned it in the latrine sink. Flames licking like vindication. Controversial? The brass whispered. Mills girl. The whistleblower. Keep her close. But watch her. Trust was a luxury, vigilance. My default. The real twist dropped in December. Snow dusting Bragg pines like forgotten confetti. Intel pinged a lead. Afghan poppy routes funding domestic ops. Threads tying back to Evergreen suppliers. Jax's crew. Splintered post bust. Had gone international, smuggling heroin-laced prayer rugs through vet charities. Elias's charity. The one he'd founded for squad widows. My blood iced. I pulled strings off books. Marco's hacker ghost in the machine and traced it, a VFW board member. Dad's old golf crony. Siphoning funds. The betrayal looped back. A snake eating its tail. Elias was clean. Furious when I briefed him over encrypted line. Those bastards using my boys' names? Will gut, M. The op was surgical, me coordinating from Bragg. Elias feeding ground intel. Feds swooping on Christmas Eve. Raids in 3 states. Shipments seized. The crony cuffed in his ugly sweater. Front page glory. Soldier sister shuts down smugglers. But the cost? Elias's charity gutted. Donors spooked. He called that night. Voice weary. You saved it,
Addy. But damn.
It hurts. Families fall, I said, echoing his old wisdom. Weary build. Spring 2020. Pandemic shadows lengthening. I rotated home, stateside leave. Elias's invite to the VFW reopening. Evergreen had changed, river sparkling under new lights. Murals over graffiti. The Mills house foreclosed and raised for a park. Harper wrote from lockup, parole in 5.
Can we talk?
I didn't reply. Some debts settled in silence. The reunion was low-key. Burgers on the grill. Vets toasting with sodas. A band mangling Sweet Home Alabama. Elias pulled me aside. Under string lights twinkling like stars we'd both chased. Got something for you. He handed over keys, not to the old Ford, but a shiny Jeep Wrangler.
Cherry red.
Sold the truck. Figured you earned wheels that don't rust. I stared, throat tight. Elias. I can't. You can. And you will. His eyes, storm gray, held mine. You gave me purpose again.
Kid.
Pulling me from that bar stool into the fight. We're even. Not even family. Maybe. The kind forged in fire. Not blood. As fireworks cracked overhead, 4th of July early, I leaned into his shoulder. The crowd's cheers a bomb. Revenge had been my resurrection. But this was life. Years blurred. Promotions. Deployments. Elias walking me down the aisle at my wedding to Ramirez. Don't fuck it up. Marine. He'd growled.
Teary-eyed.
Harper paroled in 25. Clean and quiet. A letter arriving. I'm sorry. Truly. I met her once. Coffee in a neutral diner. Words sparse but healing. No hugs. But no hate. Dad died in prison. Theo, a distant uncle to my kids. Mom faded into assisted living. Ghosts her only company.
Me?
Colonel Adeline Kane Mills by 2035. Elias's name hyphenated after his proposal under those same string lights. Full circle.
Huh.
The soldiers' friendship hadn't just stepped in, it rebuilt the world. From betrayal's ashes, we'd carved a legacy. Clean rivers. Funded charities. A family that chose each other. Looking back, that bathroom floor death wasn't the end, it was the spark. I didn't save the world, but damn if I didn't save mine. And in the quiet nights, with Elias's snores steady beside me, I whispered thanks to whatever God doled out do-overs. No regrets. Just roads ahead. Wide and unwinding.